This one is a little longer from John Hentges. His case is in Colorado and he's now in Minnesota. He says, my name is John Hentges, Hentges, and I'm the proud father of 5 awesome kids. Their names are Brandon, Tyler, Nate, Colin, and Allie. This speech is dedicated to them. I consider myself to be a good father. I grew up in a large family and wanted a large family of my own. I started planning my family many years before the first was born. I worked hard, remodeled our first home, and built 2 more homes for my family. I paid off the current home and semi-retired to spend more time with my kids while they were growing up. I enjoyed hiking and camping with them, doing homework, and just spending time with them. I loved my wife during our 22 years together, and I love each of my children unconditionally. My kids are in Colorado, and I am exiled in Minnesota. We are victims of divorce case fixing by the Colorado family law courts. My children are also victims of over 5 years of extreme emotional child abuse, including relentless parental alienation by their mother and her friends in their schools, sports league, Girl Scouts, and even in our Catholic Church. The day after I was acquitted by a jury on a 9/11 scam. I guess he's talking about false accusation charge. One of the magistrates signed a new restraining order for the same incident after he had been acquitted by a jury. The magistrate knew that state law only allows restraining orders within 15 days of the incident, and that there must be imminent danger of harm. I know now that this magistrate was instrumental in fixing the divorce against me, and by signing the restraining order, he would tie the divorce judge's hands, so he would be forced to grant sole decision-making ability for our children to my wife. The divorce judge took nearly everything I had worked for over the previous 25 years away from me. My wife was awarded over 95% of the family estate that I built, including the family home and business headquarters on 27 acres of prime real estate just a few miles up in the foothills outside of Denver. Because I had built the home myself and had paid off the property, it had never been appraised, but is now known to be worth around $2 million. The mother was still holding most of the things hostage at the property during the divorce in contempt, and kept everything after the divorce despite the permanent orders and despite over 20 written requests for the items. Still to this day, she has all of my office equipment, most of my commonly used tools and equipment, 8 vehicles, all of my deceased father's things, and most of my deceased brother's things, even his ashes. But despite this, she still wants child support. It didn't seem to matter to the courts at all that their mother was preventing me from working all through the divorce. The divorce judge, in addition to stealing my life's work and knowing that the house was paid off, that we heated our home with wood, that I was semi-retired before the divorce and was paying all the bills on an income of less than $20,000 per year, and that my only income was from the operation of my home-based business, ordered me to pay child support based on an imputed income. That means they make up an income, for those who don't know, what they think you might be able to make. I had only achieved once in my lifetime that amount. That was more than I was earning in my semi-retirement. As soon as the orders were issued in June 2006, my wife seized my share of a trust fund, and a child support enforcement caseworker who had illegally accepted the application for services before the orders were even out created an arrears balance on my child support account so she could speed up her department's harassment tactics. This one specific crime should have resulted in jail time for the caseworker, and I have complained all the way up the chain of command at the Colorado Department of Human Services, but now know that even the executive directors are in on the plundering of fathers because of the federal money they receive each year. To date, I have complained about this crime to several state and federal authorities, but the department still refuses to take the fictitious amount off my account and is still trying to collect it. By the end of 2006, the courts and the Child Support Enforcement Office had taken what little I had left and even took $6,000 from my children's trust account. I have requested this back several times in writing over the past 2.5 years, but the department still refuses to return it. In December 2006, I was tricked into going to the courthouse and was falsely arrested by a magistrate, who I later found out was working with my wife and her attorney to convert my share of the trust money she seized in June to her. On December 23, 2006, the State Department of Human Services suspended my driver's license, even though knowing about the initial alteration of my arrears balance and knowing full well that I was not in arrears at the time. The mother denied all visitation between Thanksgiving 2006 and April 20th, 2007. I was falsely arrested twice more during this time and moved to Minnesota in May 2007 to protect myself. In February 2007, I had filed a motion to modify the child support with the court, and on March 29, 2007, I filed a notarized request for a review and adjustment of my child support, which is a federally mandated process. 2 judicial officials, 2 county attorneys, and several county and state caseworkers and directors worked together to block the modification. The process is supposed to take 3 months, but was purposely delayed for nearly 1.5 years. In the summer of 2008, the review was completed and a caseworker recommended a 70% reduction in the child support amount, and a notice to set the required hearing was issued. To prevent my evidence from going on the record, a county attorney filed a motion to withdraw my motion for modification, stating that further review and application of the child support guidelines resulted in less than a 10% change from the amount ordered. A magistrate quickly granted the department's withdrawal, and I filed a petition for review with the chief judge, who denied my petition and ordered me to pay the department's attorney's fees. This crime spree should result in jail time for several officials. In November 2007, the County Child Support Enforcement Office registered the orders in Minnesota. The Minnesota judge, county attorney, and child support enforcement caseworkers worked with their counterparts in Colorado to get the account on their books, despite knowing that the orders were obtained by fraud, that over $30,000 in payments had never been credited, that the arrears balance was in error, and even knowing about the original fictitious arrears balance created right after the orders were issued. Minnesota seems to be just as corrupt as Colorado, and I found out the hard way that the corruption exists in its appellate courts too.